What would happen if a simple interaction completely changed someone's life? On a chilly autumn morning in New York, an unknown artist named Jake sat in a corner of the street, his worn palette beside him, and his hopes nearly fading like the leaves on the trees. He watched the hurried passers-by, each immersed in their own problems, oblivious to the talent hidden beneath the weight of daily struggles. Jake dreamed of being recognized, of seeing his works displayed in a gallery, but reality was cruel. With little money and a life marked by frustrations, he felt trapped in an endless cycle of despair. That day, as he attempted once again to paint something that could catch attention, Melania Trump, a well-known public figure, was on her way to an event. As she passed by Jake, something in his gaze caught her attention. She stopped, intrigued by the expression of pain and hope he displayed. Melania was not just a powerful woman, she also understood what it meant to face challenges and feel invisible in a world that often overlooked talent in favor of status. The unexpected encounter turned into a moment of genuine connection. Melania asked Jake about his art, listening intently as he spoke about his struggles and dreams. The empathy she showed made Jake feel seen for the first time in a long time. In a spontaneous gesture, Melania decided to buy one of his paintings, not only to support him financially, but to give him a newfound hope. This act of kindness did not go unnoticed. The story quickly spread, touching hearts and inspiring others to look at the artists struggling on the streets. Jake, who once felt insignificant, saw his life change in an instant. With Melania's support and media attention, he had the opportunity to showcase his works in a local gallery where his talents could shine. What began as an ordinary day transformed into a new journey of self-discovery, overcoming obstacles, and the certainty that behind every struggling artist, there is a story that deserves to be told. Thus, Jake's life and Melania's impact intertwined, showing that sometimes a simple gesture can illuminate the path to realizing dreams that seemed impossible. Their story resonated not only as a tale of triumph, but as a powerful reminder that empathy can change lives. Jake began to feel the weight of success almost immediately. The attention he received after his encounter with Melania Trump brought with it new pressure. He had never imagined that his art could cause such a stir, but now expectations were sky high. The gallery where he showcased his works was filled with people curious to see the artist who had captured the attention of someone so influential. However, the joy of being recognized began to mix with the fear of failure. As Jake prepared for his first exhibition, he faced a dilemma. The pressure to create something even more impressive left him anxious. He spent hours in front of the canvas trying to capture the essence of his pain and hope, but insecurity overwhelmed him. What was expected of him now? His hands, which once flowed with colors and shapes, felt heavy and unable to produce anything that could live up to expectations. The fear of disappointing those who now looked at him with admiration seemed to suffocate him. Amidst this internal storm, Jake began to feel the loneliness that success brought. His old friends, who once shared laughter and snacks in his small home, started to distance themselves. They seemed to feel jealousy or simply couldn't understand Jake's new life. He missed the carefree conversations and the genuine support he had always received. Now everything felt superficial, as if people approached him only because of his new status. This loneliness made him question whether he truly wanted this new life. What was good about being famous if there was no one to share it with? The situation became even more complicated when an influential art critic decided to write a review of his exhibition. Although the critique was initially positive, the critic insisted on highlighting that Jake was still an emerging artist, suggesting he would need more time and effort to reach a level of greatness. These words cut Jake like a knife. He already felt insecure, and now doubt settled in his mind. He wondered if he really had talent, or if it was all just a grand illusion. This critique made him hesitate to continue painting. the fear of failure became a constant shadow. In this tumultuous scenario, two new characters emerged in Jake's life: Clara, a young artist also struggling to be recognized, and Tom, an art agent who offered to represent Jake. Clara was passionate but filled with doubts, just like Jake. Their friendship blossomed as they both shared the struggle and passion for art. However, Clara was dealing with her own demons and often felt inferior, comparing herself to Jake. This comparison began to create a silent tension between them, causing Clara to pull away. Tom, on the other hand, had his own motivations. He saw in Jake an opportunity for profit and fame, but he wasn't as concerned about the artist's emotional well-being. Realizing this, Jake started to question whether he should trust Tom and his intentions. He wanted to succeed, but not at the cost of his mental health and personal relationships. The pressure to produce new works, combined with Tom's manipulation, made Jake feel more lost than ever. Meanwhile, Melania continued to be a source of support, but Jake hesitated to open up to her about his insecurities. He felt ashamed for not living up to what everyone expected of him. One day, in a candid conversation, Melania noticed that something was wrong. She encouraged Jake to be true to himself and not to be swayed by external criticism. This conversation planted a seed of reflection in Jake. However, the shadow of doubt grew. One night, after receiving another negative review, Jake decided to stop painting. He shut himself in his apartment, feeling defeated. Clara, concerned about the situation, tried to reach out, but Jake was so closed off in his pain that he couldn't see the support she was offering. This situation culminated in a misunderstanding between them, where harsh words were exchanged and their friendship was put to the test. Now immersed in a spiral of self-criticism and loneliness, Jake began to distance himself from everyone, including Melania and Tom. Jake's journey became increasingly challenging. He faced not only external pressure, but also his internal insecurities. The twists and turns in his life forced him to confront his beliefs about what it meant to be an artist and what he truly desired for himself. Amid the emotional storm, Jake realized that he needed to find his own voice, away from the expectations of others. The struggle for self-acceptance and the search for a greater purpose would lead him to a turning point, where he would have to decide between being consumed by doubt or fighting to reconnect with himself. Jake was at a critical juncture in his life. The pressure of success, criticism, and loneliness left him in a fragile emotional state. One day, while wandering aimlessly through the streets, he decided to enter a small art gallery he had not visited before. The walls were filled with works by local artists, some well-known and others just starting out. He stood in front of a painting that made him feel something profound. It was a piece that portrayed an artist's struggle, full of vibrant colors and shadows that seemed to dance. As he observed the painting, Jake felt a wave of emotion that he hadn't experienced in a long time. It was as if the artist had captured his own insecurities, fears, and hopes. The feeling of identification made him forget, for a moment, the pressure he felt. He remembered why he started painting, not to please others, but to express what was inside him. While absorbing the artwork, a woman approached him. She was the artist, a young woman named Sophia. Jake couldn't help but praise her painting, and the two began to talk. Sophia shared her own struggles and how art had helped her confront her personal demons. She didn't care about fame or recognition. For her, art was a form of healing. This conversation touched Jake in a way he didn't expect. He realized that the pursuit of external validation had pulled him away from what truly mattered. From that moment on, something changed within Jake. He recognized that he was losing himself amidst others' expectations and needed to rediscover his true essence as an artist. The connection with Sophia made him reflect on his own choices and goals. He thought about how he had allowed the fear of failure to dominate him, rather than allowing himself to be vulnerable and authentic. However, this new perspective did not come without challenges. Upon returning home, Jake received a message from Tom, his agent. He was eager to discuss new opportunities, but Jake hesitated. He realized that Tom was more interested in selling his image than in supporting his artistic journey. This realization left him distressed. The pressure to produce and achieve the success that Tom desired no longer aligned with what Jake truly wanted. He needed time to reconnect with himself. That night, Jake decided to pick up the brushes again. He didn't worry about what the critics would say or the image he needed to maintain. Instead, he let the colors flow, allowing his pain, insecurities, and hopes to manifest on the canvas. He painted without fear, without thinking about the consequences. It was as if each brushstroke was freeing a part of himself that had been suffocated. When morning arrived, Jake looked at the work he had created. It was a portrait of his struggle, an honest representation of his emotions. He felt a wave of relief and satisfaction. Art had become a refuge again, a safe space where he could be true to himself. This rediscovery made him realize that the true measure of success was not fame, but the ability to express himself genuinely. The connection with Sophia and the experience of painting again helped him understand that life is made of ups and downs. He needed to embrace his flaws and uncertainties as they were part of his journey. Instead of letting himself be consumed by pressure, Jake decided to use his experiences to grow as an artist and as a person. However, he still had to deal with the consequences of his choices. By confronting Tom and putting an end to their professional relationship, Jake knew he was giving up an opportunity for immediate success. But for the first time, he felt at peace. The struggle for authenticity and the recognition of his true self would lead him down a new path, one he was willing to tread, no matter how difficult it was. Looking to the future, Jake felt that he was finally ready to face the challenges that would come, now with a new purpose and a new vision of what it truly meant to be an artist. Jake was at a decisive moment in his life, surrounded by challenges that seemed insurmountable. The pressure of success was suffocating him, and constant criticism left him in a fragile emotional state. Loneliness accompanied him like a shadow as he wondered if all the effort was really worth it. It was on one of those cloudy days that he decided to enter an unfamiliar art gallery. As he observed a painting that depicted the artist's struggle, Jake felt an emotion he hadn't experienced in a long time. The work spoke of fears and hopes, and he saw himself reflected in it. It was at that moment that he met Sophia, the artist behind the work. The conversation with her brought a new understanding. Sophia shared her struggles and how art helped her face her demons. Jake realized he had distanced himself from what truly mattered, the authentic expression of his feelings. This connection led him to rethink his own journey. He recognized that he had allowed himself to be driven by the fear of failure, forgetting to be vulnerable and true. However, the transformation did not come without resistance. Upon returning home, Jake received a message from his agent, Tom, who was eager to discuss new opportunities. But reflecting on the conversation, Jake understood that Tom was more interested in selling his image than in supporting his artistic growth. This realization brought anguish, but also clarity. He knew he needed to distance himself from those external expectations to reconnect with himself. That night, Jake picked up his brushes again. He didn't worry about criticism or the image he was supposed to maintain. The colors flowed freely, and each brushstroke seemed to liberate parts of his soul that had been suffocated. When morning arrived, he looked at his creation and felt a profound relief. Art had become a refuge, a space where he could be true. Jake realized that true success was not in fame, but in authenticity. He learned to embrace his flaws and uncertainties, understanding that they were part of his journey. By confronting Tom, he knew he was giving up immediate opportunities, but for the first time, he felt at peace. This decision marked a new beginning, where Jake was willing to face the challenges ahead, now with renewed purpose. Over time, Jake began to apply the lessons he had learned. He allowed himself to feel his emotions, facing internal conflicts that had been holding him back. His friendship with Sophia blossomed, helping him see the world in a new way. Jake not only overcame his limitations, but also rebuilt himself, finding a new perspective on life and what it meant to be an artist. He was finally ready to walk an authentic path, where true growth lay in connecting with himself and with others. Jake was about to open his first solo exhibition. Nervousness hung in the air, and he felt torn between anxiety and anticipation. The gallery was full with familiar and unfamiliar faces observing his works. However, the pressure to please everyone made him hesitate. He remembered the conversations with Sophia, the nights he had painted without worrying about what others would think. But now, the shadow of fear was haunting him again. As the exhibition progressed, he spotted Tom, his agent, approaching. Tom's expression was one of approval, but there was something in his gaze that Jake couldn't ignore. There was an expectation for him to present himself as a commercial artist, and that bothered him. In a moment of intense reflection, Jake realized he was about to sacrifice his authenticity for the sake of recognition. With his heart racing, Jake decided he couldn't let that happen. He stepped away from the crowd and went to one of his paintings, the piece he had created on the night he decided to be true to himself. He took a deep breath and, amidst the buzz of the gallery, turned to the guests. With a trembling but firm voice, he declared that his works were an expression of his personal journey, not just products for sale. At that moment, the room fell silent. He felt a weight lift off his shoulders, as if he was finally freeing himself from the chains that bound him. Sophia, who had been watching from a distance, smiled, and that connection strengthened him. Jake knew that, regardless of the reactions, he had chosen the right path. In doing so, he discovered an inner strength he never knew he had. The true victory wasn't in fame, but in the courage to be who he really was. Jake felt a new breath of life as he freed himself from the pressure to please. By speaking about his art as an extension of his journey, he realized he wasn't just showcasing his works, but also his soul. The room that once felt oppressive now vibrated with renewed energy, and the faces that had once seemed strange became welcoming and warm. After that moment of sincerity, he received genuine compliments and, more importantly, felt the acceptance of who he truly was. Jake's transformation was profound. He learned that true success wasn't about selling his works, but about being true to himself. He remembered the conversations with Sophia and how her friendship had always encouraged him to be authentic. With a smile on his face, Jake left the gallery that night with a new perspective. He knew his journey was just beginning, but now he was ready to face it with courage. And you? Have you ever felt pressured to be someone you're not? Share your experiences in the comments, and let's reflect together on the importance of authenticity. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories. Your engagement helps us bring more heart-touching content. The time to act is now.